This is an open letter to my pink skin friends, my common pink skin friends. You know, those of you who are of the comments in the pink skin lands. Uh, this is just my thoughts to regarding the virus that we just collectively had to endure, the viral situation. Some people deny that it ever existed, but the numbers don't lie, and countries, this is not a hoax, because countries who are not really on friendly terms, they all had to admit admit that they've had a problem with a lot of people dying. Now the only explanation could be that there is a fucking virus going around. So the whole thing can't be hoaxed. I mean, when Russia, Russians generally don't like to admit any kind of weakness. So when Russians have to admit that, yes, our mortality rate had just doubled last month, tripled, quadrupled last month. Now we have 10 times more dead in our mortuaries than we had the month before, or this same time last year. When the numbers don't match, eventually Russians also have to admit that, yes, we have a weakness. Yes, the virus is also affecting our people too. So, the whole thing was not a hoax. There is a virus, and there has this high kind of mortality. It's new? Yes, of course it's new. So was AIDS. So was Ebola. These are all newish. They're all newish. Virus mutate easily in nature. Especially virus in tropical regions. Virus and bacteria, like all other kinds of life, thrive in tropical regions. That's why you see all of these new varieties of old viruses and new varieties of old bacteria. They all originate from tropical regions. We have had, Ebola and AIDS from Africa. We have had dengue fever from, South Asia. We had malaria. These are life because in the tropics, because there is no winter and it doesn't kill all the small living creatures. You see, when you have a northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere, when they do have once a year cold weather goes through, kills everything, kills a lot of stuff, especially in insect populations. So next year they have to start over again. So life gets renewed. In the dry areas of the world, you don't see life, period. It's like 3 life forms in every square mile or square kilometer. So because environment is so friendly towards life in the tropics, therefore one of the most primitive forms of life, which are the bacteria and half life, half dead crystalline life form of which are the virus. This crystalline life form, which are the virus, is one of the most primitive forms of life. Some do say that it came before the bacteria. They said before the cells. Viruses, don't have cellular structure like living things. They have crystalline structures, and the only thing they know how to do is replicate themselves. They have no other uses. It's just a crystalline structure which invades and just replicates itself, and then goes and replicates itself, and then goes and replicates itself. Virus does not have a process other than replication. So the point is this. So it's one of the most primitive lives on Earth are viruses, and then unicellular organisms, which are the bacteria. So the point is this: in tropical regions of the world, these viruses and bacteria are all over the place, and there is no winter. The winter doesn't come through and eliminate a bunch of them, so there is less chance of mutation. No, in the tropic there is no winter and there is no dry season. So basically, if it's living, it will continue living until its last days. Therefore, the number of life is high. You find 5,000 different life forms in every square kilometers or square mile. So in these areas, when there's so many, density of life is high, so many creatures are living right on top of each other in the tropical regions of the world, and this cycle never is broken by winter or really dry weather like a desert. This cycle is never broken. The species get to intermingle all the time. The result the result is that you will have mutations. You will have mutations, and you can tell the mutations. I was explaining to a friend of mine that it's these mutations, you can explain them as albinos. Albinos are a mutation in nature. One small mutation and has made such a big difference. It makes such a big difference in the life of a creature. And these mutations can happen if there is when life is living on top of each other in the tropics, as if like it's so density of life is so high that it seems like life is living on top of each other. In these areas, of course, you're going to have more mutations, longer lifespan of all creatures, including bacteria and virus, longer lifespan, longer shelf life, longer time for mutation, possibility of mutation by intermingling with others of your kind, by intermingling with other viruses of similar to you, close to you, with viruses intermingling within perfectly harmless bacteria. There are certain harmless viruses that routinely intermingle within the body of perfectly harmless bacteria. They intermingle and then they separate and then they go, and then they may change for the better or for the worse. But the point is this: before this COVID-19, there was SARS-2 and SARS-1 and SARS-0 and SAMRA and the swine flu and the Middle Eastern flu and the Arab flu and the Chinese flu. These are all, whatever gets produced in the tropics is not a particular it's not their fault that they're living in tropics, and because tropics life is on top of each other, and life never dies and is living on top of each other, there is a big chance of mutations taking place that becomes big because there's so much life, so many higher the chances of mutation. So one of these mutations, or one of these half-ass hazardous virus or bacteria, one of their mutation can be suddenly really hazardous. It's like one virus or one bacteria, does one mutation happens to give it a specific, aptitude, give the virus a specific aptitude that would make it more toxic and more easily spread, transmitted. So these mutations can only happen in the tropics because, again, life is living on top of each other in the tropics. Life never dies, really. So The point is this: because one cannot say really pin any virus that is coming out of the tropics. One cannot really pin it on the host country, because some of them come from Central South America, some come from South Asia, which is wet, hot and wet tropics. Some come from the tropical regions of Africa. AIDS and Ebola and the yellow fever and the dengue fever and the SARS and the SARS-2 and the SARS-3 and COVID and now Omicron, and it's like, it is what it is. Just like, you see how many mutations has this virus have had since we have been keeping an eye on it as humanity. See exactly how many mutation of this motherfuckers has happened since it beginning. 2 years. Within 2 years, it has had like 3, 4, 5, 6 mutations. This last one seems to, has reconfigured half of the structure, but still apparently it's not a pleasant creature to be around. And although it apparently has had like 60 mutations. Whether after 60 mutation, whether you can call it's the same virus or not, but obviously it's the same virus with only 60 something mutations. The point is this: this could easily have had an natural origin, and eventually now or in the future at one point this would have come out. It just happened to come out at this time, but it could have easily stayed in that cave until 100 years from now, or 50 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 3 years from now. It's a cave, and as our human population increases, more and more people invade more and more places that used to be uninhabited, uninvaded by humans. When more and more people go through these forests and inhabit them and find new places to poke their head in, you see, for the same reasons that Mr. Elon Musk is going to the moon and the Mars, good for him, good for us, but for that same reason, that cocksucker in Indonesia will try to poke his whole head into some cave hole, in some shed hole in Burma or Indonesia or Malaysia or India or China or South China. It's somebody is for the same reason. It's sort of like this this quest of knowledge, this quest of boundaries. So for the same reason we are going to Mars is the same reason we got the virus, the new virus, because somebody poked his head in a hole that he shouldn't have. But eventually him or his grandchildren, somebody would have poked their head into that hole and brought back us the virus. The same scenario can be repeated over and over, will be repeated over and over, unless you have tight controls down. There's a screening when there is, transportation. There's some kind of screening, not for the underworld bomber, but for just regular. But even the screening cannot be really that effective. A really bad mutation will eventually spread it. But the point is this: the only solution that can be thought of is to be vigilant. And the Chinese have been vigilant after SARS-1 and SARS-2 and this and SMRI virus and this virus and that virus and this virus and that virus. They have got with it. They've understood that this is what we have to work with. So we need to put up, procedures and plans in order to contain this motherfucker as they arise, because half of China is in tropics. Half is dry, half is in tropics. So the point is this: relatively dry. But the point is this: this is China. Do you really think the African republics, those shitty ones that are on the fucking equator? Do you think they even have the Chinese kind of standard for containment? No, they don't. There is no standard for containment. So whatever originates out of Africa, which it did. If you remember, during Obama's time, there was that Ebola was spread a little to the west because of this fast transportation that we have through aviation. You got a fast transfer. The guy could be eating breakfast in I don't know, Timbuktu, and for dinner he's sitting in the most crowded part of the world in London, Heathrow Airport. It's sort of like, and he's got Timbuktu to Heathrow Airport within half a day. Well, sicknesses don't, these kind of viruses that have got an incubation time that don't show themselves up within half a day. He may get it in the morning, right at the breakfast, from the cocksucker who's serving him breakfast in Timbuktu, in Africa, and by lunch, if he's having lunch in London, he passes it on to 3 co-workers who from London, they are now going to 5 different capitals for themselves. So you see what I'm saying? Literally, you can get the whole system locked up because of this. And well, the science of testing needs to advance, or need to be vigilant that when you finally find it, when you pull the play the alarm, and everybody should be on good terms with each other. That's the more important thing. Everybody should be on good terms with each other. So once the alarm, so nobody is afraid of pulling the alarm, because be accused of anything, like this new version, the South African version. A lot of people, as soon as South Africa said, yes, we have a new mutation, suddenly they say, okay, now your students and your teachers and your businessmen can stay at home and nobody can travel out of your country because you got the new mutation. This was just a mutation. Just imagine a country stating that, oh, we got the virus, and if the deal is suddenly they are blocked and no more contact with you motherfuckers, you got the virus, we're not going to deal with you anymore, no people or product, no transfer of peoples and product, then you have a problem. Nobody's want to blow the whistle. Maybe this was the thing, because they don't want to blow the whistle. They're trying to contain it, so maybe it gets contained, because if they blow the whistle, they may be accused of shit, but without actually having anything to do with it, because it came out of a fucking cave. So the solution is more contact, not less contact. Don't make demons out of each other. Less contact is never the solution. Less contact is the step before war. Sort of like, oh, we're gonna go stand in our corners now, see if we can. We talk talk with our financiers and see if we can reach a deal, or or we have to go to fist fight. I mean, it can be done that way. Not sure why would anybody want to, have less contact. And I mean, recently I heard in the news that FBI had prosecuted a professor from Harvard that has, had some kind of contact with China, probably shared some information with them. I don't know, but this is the thing that apparently is the objective, that shares no sharing of information with them. Who's them? They're from Earth. We are all Earthlings, right? No? Or am I mistaken? So these are Earthlings. The point is this. The point is this, that this Earthling business, we have to somehow work it out. Not the way, the my pink skin friends, not the way your ancestors worked it out with the Americans and the Africans and wiped all Americans out, the red-skinned Americans out, and wiped half of the African black skins out. And I guess Asia should be happy with because they were a bit farther away. They suffered less from the European pink skin. They suffered less at the hands of the European pink skins. But the point is this, I mean, let's assume, so this probably has had a natural origins from out of China. It probably had a natural origin. Okay, it had a natural origin from China. What is the other possibility? Well, let's just a step back. So China, which it has had a system to China, which has had a system, has put a system down in order to contain it and contain its population. Well, they have worked out a system. They have provided healthcare, or provided the means to healthcare for a large number of people at the blink of an eye. Very good machine, well-run machine they have put on the ground in order to contain this virus business that they know comes out of their tropical regions, like it or not. Because, wherever life is living on top of each other, it happens to, produce a lot of variations of life, a lot of mutations of life. But the point is this, what the West lacked, or still lacks, is that there is not enough healthcare for everybody. Capitalism has made healthcare very expensive, an expensive endeavor. And because capitalism has realized that people are willing to pay a lot of money to stay alive and healthy, because they, those who get the money, get wealth, their only objective becomes, now I have wealth, let me see how much I can extend my life. So that's how capitalism has made it. A few, going after longer lives, healthier lives, because they have the capital. But and therefore healthcare has become wealth care. In a capitalist West, healthcare has become wealth care. That is, people care for the health of the wealthy, wealth care, as opposed to health care, which is, caring for the health of every member of your tribe. So they have gone the other way. So in the capitalist free West, the common pink skin man and woman doesn't get much in the way of health care. It's sort of like you work until you work, and then when you can't work, I guess, you put a bullet between your eyes. We don't care, and we only allow you this much, this much allowance for your health. If hopefully you don't run out of that allowance, or else you're not going to be with us for much longer. Thank you very much. By the way, there is a reverse mortgage. You can come and return the house back to us as well. So here's the thing. Here's the thing, folks. The Chinese have decided, no, we're going to give healthcare to these poor people, our people, the Chinese people. We're going to put up the kind of healthcare, available healthcare to everybody, to more or less try to nip this in the bud, try to, be able to contain the virus, give the healthcare, and maybe prevent the viruses, new viruses, from spreading faster, or spreading, or try to catch it faster. But who's to say that? I mean, we have seen all types of movies that one countries can go and drop something bad in another country. Just for other purposes. It's not so difficult to think that a small jar of hazardous substance is released into a market of another society. Anybody who takes a fish from this fish stall, that this tourist splash some, this supposed tourist splash some liquid over a fresh fish, and this liquid was so concentrated that anybody who took one of those fish home became the carrier of this virus and the spreader of this virus, the patient zero of this virus, just from one fish stall in the middle of a bazaar in any of the tropics. So it can be done. Was it done? Could it be could it be anybody with the means of producing one of these high potency, if they can produce it, they can spread it anywhere. Let's put it this way: those countries that can produce this shit, if they have the capacity to produce and mutate these viruses at will, if they have the ability to mutate these viruses at will, or at least after some work, then believe me, they have the technology to go and spread it somewhere else. You see what I'm saying? If you have the technology to reproduce it, to produce it, you have the technology to spread it wherever you want. You can go and spread it on the moon if you want. You are at that level of technology that if you have this technology, you have that technology as well. So could it have natural origin? Yes. Could it have been brought in from another country into China and spread? Yes. Option number 3, was it actually engineered by the Chinese? Then you have to ask, let's assume it was. Let's assume it was. Let's assume it was engineered by the Chinese. Okay. Then let's find a solution. Why did they engineer it? For those who scream that no, this virus was engineered by the Chinese. You have to ask yourself, my common pink-skinned friend, my common friend of the pink-skin origin. Don't get fooled over this matter. Even if the Chinese had produced this, engineered this, themselves, then you have to find the answer to why did one group of humanity felt the need to, do such thing. Are they fearful? Are they threatened? Are they, did they try to, use a different means of achieving their objective? And why didn't it work if they did try? Of what was their objective, and what other means was available to them that maybe they wouldn't have to resort to this kind of tactics. Why they felt there is no other avenue beside this tactic. I mean, the question is, when somebody does something, you can look at it in a way of, now why would this guy do this thing? Why? Because only crazy people do things for no reason. Only crazy people. You see, if you see somebody walking in a circle, he could be crazy, or he could be actually, trying to, visualize how did the system came with the number pi. You see, two kind of people walk in a circle. The guy who's trying to, live the experience of pi, the number pi, live that experience, with the length of his own foot, and see exactly what they mean by pi. Or he could be crazy walking in circles. So the point is this. What is clear is nobody puts crazy people in charge of their country. At least we hope not. But the point, and those fuckers who are in charge of China, they are more intelligent than an average Chinese. The Chinese have made sure to come up with a system in which their leaders are more intelligent than the average man. There is a selection process, an election process, a selection process that, hey, let's put a smart guy in there, a smart guy with integrity. Integrity towards our tribe. Not even his personal well-being, but towards our tribe. Which, unfortunately, I mean, democracy has not resulted into that. I mean, you see the kind of presidents that recently democracy has produced, the kind of leaders that recently democracies have produced. And I don't just mean in North America, I mean in Europe. In Europe too. It's all has become a cult of personality, and the guy is a cartoonish figure of what a leader should be. Hitler was a cartoonish figure. I mean, let's be frank. He was with his mustache and his specific way of leading, his style, as you can say. It wasn't an intellectual. It was clear. He was a mouthpiece for the frustration of especially the German upper class, the German industrialist. Hitler was the frustration of the German industrialist, cartoonified. Unfortunately, the rich people, the industrialists, are willing to get rid of their public than to share their wealth with their public. That's the problem with fascism. Anyway, the point is this, folks. The Chinese people, let's assume that this was produced by the Chinese. Why would they do such thing? If you want to answer this question of why would they do it, we just concluded that the Chinese leaders are not the crazy kind. If they're walking in a circle, it's because they're trying to visualize pi. That's the other kind that the Chinese leaders are. They're walking in a circle, but it's not because they're crazy, it's because they're trying to visualize the number pi. So they are the other kind. So if they're not crazy, that they have, out of craziness they have released this virus, if assuming they have manufactured it, then why did they do it? If they're not crazy, then they have a reason. And then you have to investigate, my pink-skinned friends, what could be the reason? What is it worrying them so much that they're, willing to inflict this, possibly self wound? Why? Is it because they feel threatened? Then you have to ask, why would they feel threatened? Then the answer is, well, they would feel threatened if unfortunately Uncle Sam's managers at the time tried to take over part of South Asia by the name of Vietnam. They weren't successful. Then they tried it with Korea, and with Korea they were able to take over half of it. And let's not beat around the bush. The South Koreans are happy to take the money and live a good life, unfortunately on top of each other because the population is so densely packed. They're willing to take your money and sing your tune, my Uncle Sam's managers, but it's not because their hearts are in it. It's because you took over the land and you put up barriers and you put up a fort and you conquered a piece of land, my dear pink-skinned friends, and you have soldiers on the ground. I mean, if the Koreans had their pick right now, even South Koreans, without fear mongering and without propaganda. Even South Koreans right now, North Koreans for sure and South Koreans for sure right now, if there is no fear mongering, I believe if you take a vote, they want to go back to becoming the same country. Who's the outsider in that area? You see, outside, if your skin doesn't match the color of the people on the ground, you should step back. It's simple. If the natives are brown and you're pink, you're in the wrong place. If you have a choice to go into a right place, you should. If your skin is not the skin of the color of the people around you, majority of the color of the skin of the people around you, maybe you shouldn't be there. So if Uncle Sam pulls out of South Korea, then South Korea, North Korea, we'll have to work something out. What happened in Vietnam will happen in Korea. Okay, somebody become a leader. Let's try it like this a little. Let's try it like that a little. At the end, we are gonna work something out that works for us, the Koreans. Just like the Vietnamese eventually worked some kind of a combination of communism and capitalism, and they have worked something out, and it's running in a stable fashion for them. And there was no need for So many, if so many Vietnamese weren't killed and so many Americans, pink skins, weren't killed, still Vietnam would have been like this. If it has gone through its own evolutionary pattern, it would have reached where it is right now, probably, with maybe a few years back, a few years forth. It's the evolutionary ladder of the country, considering it's where it is, what it is, its history, its culture, its. But no, you guys got to say that no, 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 no. We want to go there in their culture and show them what freedom really is. You want to go into their culture and show them what freedom is. Folks, in many cultures on this planet, the definition of freedom, the definition of rights, it's much different than yours. And you cannot say yours is right or theirs is right. You can't say that. That's an imperialist way of saying we are right or they're right. That's an imperialist way of saying. Why am I saying this? In 100 years ago, not even less than 100 years ago, they were. I saw a picture of. I saw a picture of Mr. Old Blue Eyes, the singer, the American singer, Old Blue Eyes. I saw a picture of him that he was arrested in New York, New Jersey somewhere because he promised to marry the girl and he screwed her, and after screwing her walked out and didn't really want to marry her. So she took her complaint to the police station and they arrested him under some kind of moral, based on some kind of moral judgment. So this shows that you were there, my pink-skinned friends, in North America. You were at that level of how should I put this, social ethics, that and there was there are loads of pictures of policemen sizing up women's dresses, and you should be 4 inches below the knee or above the knee or whatever the fuck it was. But the point is this, that you were at that level 100 years ago. It's very imperialistic of you to think that everybody else should be at our level because we are the best, and okay, you're the best, but not everybody can be at your level because you weren't at your level of social ethics 100 years ago. Why do you expect the Iraqis or the Afghans to be at your social ethics level with rights for women and rights for gays and rights for this and rights for that and rights for the other and democracy and freedom? You're trying to teach freedom to people who don't believe in that concept is a good concept in their natural culture. In the natives' culture, those concepts may not be as pleasant a concepts as they are to you. And freeing a domesticated rabbit, it doesn't do the rabbit much good. The rabbit dies real fast. You cannot release a domesticated rabbit in the wild and expect it to last more than a couple of hours. Something is going to eat it. So the point is this, it is freedom thing, freeing stuff. freeing people when they're not ready, freeing people when their culture doesn't recognize freedom as the way you recognize freedom. Some cultures are more about obligations and more about your dues to the tribe and more about your whatever the fuck is the moral is in that land. Sometimes it's just, they're different. They translate different. Something gets lost in the translation. And unfortunately, not many of my pink skin friends, especially in North America, not many speak multiple languages. And when you don't speak multiple languages, you don't understand how concepts are so different. Concepts are different. The whole understanding of what life is different. But back to the topic. The Chinese may have produced this, but then you have to ask yourself, why have we made them so feel threatened that they may release, go about, bringing biohazard warfare. Why did they feel so threatened? Well, they feel threatened because have you noticed Uncle Sam left and right declares different countries as rogue and evil. I mean, when you got Saudi Arabia as a friend and you have the Arab Peninsula as friends, I mean, you have the most rogue of the rogue as friends. You can't really call anybody out on being rogue because, Arabian Peninsula is still living in the mentality of, 1,000 years ago. It just walks to its own beat. But the point is this, that from time to time, Uncle Sam's managers, depending on who's in power and what obligations they have towards which corporations, they declare different territories on Earth as rogue. They declare different territories. Don't even call them countries, territories. There is a fucking territory that a bunch of people are trying to run it, and one of Uncle Sam's managers comes and calls it that's a rogue territory. Okay, they have to go hungry, and wherever we find their shit, we're going to confiscate it. Wait a second. If that territory happened to be in the heart of Europe, it would have been okay. But because that territory happened to be in the middle of fucking East, that's not okay. If they happen to be white people living in that territory, like South Africa, pink skin living in it, or pink skin living in West Asia, whatever they do, however, however they make life uncomfortable for their neighborhood or their neighbors or their co-inhabitants of the land, however they make their life difficult for them, like they did in South Africa with the townships, and what they used to call townships in South Africa is what they call Gaza and West Bank. They call them, I don't know. They call them reservations in the Americas. That's where they sent the Redskins. Reservations in America, townships in South Africa, and refugee camps in West Asia. So the point is this: what we see in the rest of the planet, being from places that are not considered pink skin regions of the world, uh, from time to time these regions are called as rogue, and their embargoes and embargoes are applied, and sanctions are applied, and their people are not welcomed, and no trade should be done with them, and they should suffer because they're rogue, they're not listening. Well, why do you think they're not listening? Because obviously they're feeling threatened, and they're preparing themselves because they feel threatened. But the problem is they feel threatened in their own house. Then you have to ask my pink skin friends, why do they feel threatened in their own house? Is it because they are neighbors with Iraq, and because of their neighbors? No, they don't feel threatened by their neighbors. Then why they feel threatened? Oh, they feel threatened because why they don't feel threatened by their neighbors? Because their neighbors are weaker than them. So the Iranians aren't worried about their neighbors that they're arming themselves. The Chinese aren't worried about their neighbors that they keep arming themselves. The Chinese are worried about, the pink skins, the whole NATO business, Uncle Sam and co. If they release the virus because they're nervous, if they apply this kind of hazardous warfare, you gotta see why they're nervous. Well, they see because left and right Uncle Sam keeps declaring different territories on Earth as bad, and embargoes them and sanctions them, and until they comply, and then confiscates whatever they can from those countries that they declare bad. So there was these coal ships that they tried to confiscate from the North Koreans. There were these oil ships that they tried to confiscate from the Iranians. So the Chinese are like, okay, so you don't want the Chinese to feel threatened? So tomorrow, the Chinese are thinking tomorrow they may declare us as bad guys, and they want to, confiscate our ships and our tankers. So they're like, you see, my pink skinned friends, if Americans, if NATO wasn't confiscating these bad territories shit, the Chinese and others would not feel nervous. So therefore, there wouldn't be any need for them to, start any biochemical war, biological war. If supposing the Chinese have made this, supposing, which I said probably not, probably it had natural origins, but supposing they did it, then you have to find out why they're doing it, why they're nervous. Oh, is it anything we did that made you nervous? Oh, okay. Maybe we can, maybe we can go about this in a civilized manner, and stop taking the high road and say, okay, we're going to have to we trade with all the countries. Whatever you do on your territory, as long as there is no civil war, as long as there is not many people killed, keep it quiet and we're good. We're not going to fucking invade you and take shit from you, and we're not going to force Kuwait to invest all their money in our territory, we are not going to forcefully take over, oil tankers and coal tankers and whatever other shit that we can get our hands on. Just because we declared the other side bad, we're gonna confiscate everything. Seriously? Who declared you good? It's sort of declaring others bad implies that you are good. Why? Because you have a bunch of intellectuals with integrity in charge? No, you have a bunch of showmen in charge. Very extrovert frat boys who have, who have stayed in politics in Uncle Sam's land because, unfortunately, Uncle Sam's election has gone the way of, the circus, because money is involved and the whole thing is a very lengthy process, and only frat boys appreciate the process, which is called elections. Intellectuals abhor three-ring circuses and talking to so many people at once and intellectuals abhor that. Intellectuals are usually introverts. So because you have such a